Welcome, everybody, to an all new episode of the Street Geeks. Ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing to you today a spoiler discussion on season 2, episode 1 of Loki. It's about to go down, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get into all of that, I'm your host, one and only John J. With me, as always, my co-host, the one and only Stu Dog. What's going on with you, Stu?
Not much, man. Living the dream every day in paradise.
I could dig that. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into this here discussion, please, you could do us a huge solid and drop a like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit that bell to turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of this upcoming content. But yeah, Stu Dog, let's do it. So
Right.
Loki season 2, man, it kicked off, and if you recall, season 1 ended with our heroes, or I don't even know if you really want to call it heroes, or our protagonist. Yeah, I was actually gonna say just tagonist, because it was kind of a protagonist and antagonist,
Oh yeah.
so to speak. But they ended with a hell of a decision that they had to make. They got down. They got to the end of time. They saw He Who Remains. A wonderful acting job by Jonathan Majors.
Mm-hmm.
And he broke it down to him. You could stay here. You could take over, or you could go ahead, plunge that dagger into my chest, end it. But an infinite more of me will come back. And one thing we learned, and I had to remind myself on my rewatch from season 1, that Sylvie has been on the run her entire life. She's filled with hate and anger, but she's also not very smart. She's very uneducated, and it was blatantly obvious when amongst all my rewatches. So all she saw was red. She plunged that dagger, and it was go time, which takes us right to and she kicked Loki through a time door, and she used the temp pad from He Who Remains instead of a regular TVA temp pad. And I believe that is the reason why season 2 began how it began. And it appears that she kicked Loki through a past, maybe a different branch. What did you think about that, just to start with, how it started off?
Yeah. I'm gonna fight for Sylvie here a little bit. Not that I really have a dog in this fight, but
Go ahead. I
I
like
mean,
Sylvie though.
I like her, and if we had lived the life she had lived, I mean, would we not be seeing red the whole time? I mean, it was her only reason for going. So, like,
Absolutely.
what wisdom is going to be sought there if you're trying to just survive the whole time and you're trying to end it so you can actually finally have a breather, you know? So, like, bad decisions are going to be made. So, like, I would say that's probably why there's not a lot of smart decisions.
But the fact still remains:
But
the
now that
smarts
they,
aren't really there.
but now that we're seeing now that like the timeline is now linear, it's not circular anymore or secular, whatever the terminology is. So Loki being kicked into the past, like that's the one thing that I feel like a lot of people are starting to like they're not catching as an important thing. There's a past now. They could go back. Before it was just like there was an end and a beginning, and it just they meet up at the same time. A very small thing. Now it's a linear path. So Loki going into the past and coming out of it is changing a lot of things.
Yeah, and that's
Now,
that's why everybody there is freaking out. Like, you can't do that. It doesn't work like that.
but another thing is that uh, I'm loving the secondary characters. They make the secondary characters so well. You can get with them. They're all unique in their own way, even down to their names. Like their own names are unique. Like Ouroboros and Mobius. Like these are like names that actually have to do with time. If you look them up, like there's historical and mythological reasons for those things, like uh, Mobius, a Mobius strip. Like we saw, like literally in Endgame, when Stark made like the time machine. He's like, hey, put it in the shape of a Mobius strip. A Mobius strip is this twisted ribbon that has no end. It just kind of goes back around and around and around. Hence our friend Mobius, because it's part of the TVA. He's been a part of it from the beginning, at least as far as he knows. But they're all finding out they're all variants, and they all been plucked out at individual times and put in place into where they are.
Yeah, no doubt, and I definitely couldn't agree with you more on the secondary characters. That's something that Marvel has been really good at. We talked a little bit about this earlier off air, but even from your Darcy to I forget
The
the
detective.
detective from Ant-Man
Yeah.
and WandaVision. But Marvel does a great job of using secondary characters and giving them very important roles to the plot.
Oh yeah, and they're not just there. They have a uniqueness to them that like every time you see them, you're happy to see them. So when they engage with other characters or they're on their own, you're not bored.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's not just a conversation. I mean, like with the Ant Man detective guy, I wish I could remember his name. He goes there, he checks up on him, he's making sure he's wearing his ankle bracelet, and then like he sees that he's learned magic. He's like, dude, I got to entertain like a 10-year-old, and I can't leave the house. I'm like, got to do these things. And he's like, yeah, yeah. And then when he's outside the door, he turns around. He's like, that one magic trick. How'd you do that? Shuts the door on him, showing that he's
Is it
still a
Jimmy
human
Woo?
guy.
Jimmy Woo or something like
He's
that?
cool, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's awesome. He's one of the faves, and Obi is gonna be one of the new faves. I really like this character.
Dude, that was so cool. I figured I like without any outside source. I figured out. I'm like, this
Yeah, you
guy's
did.
familiar. I'm
Yeah,
like,
go ahead and go drop that
it's
bomb.
it's Data from the Goonies, and also the kid from Indiana Jones. It's freaking Data, man. He's grown up, and I like recognize this accent and his voice. I'm like, why does this guy seem so familiar? And then I put it together. I'm like, he's Data from the Goonies. Okay, cool. No, that's why his speech is so weird. But
Yeah,
it's like still the same. It's kind of caricature, but really cool and unique to him.
yeah, a really dope character. I like how he brought that to this character, Ouroboros.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so let's talk about the episode a little bit and Loki's his time slipping from the beginning scene when he's running from the past version of the TVA. Mobius and B-15 didn't recognize him, and then he crashes. The poor lady. I did have to look on my rewatch. At first I thought Loki totally killed her. I thought she fell off. You heard fell off the cliff and
Yeah,
just
I
died.
saw it too.
You heard a and then you heard like you heard it like a crash, but I guess maybe that was just the engines because then you saw her shoot back up.
She's
So I was like,
flying
oh,
off
he's like
like
she'll be
barely.
okay. She'll be
Yeah,
okay.
she'll be okay. And she was.
Yeah.
I was like,
And then to see the crack hit or see the sphere hit the ground and leave a crack that remained in the future. They did a lot of little nuggets like that throughout the episode, even in the end where Mobius wrote "skin" in the dust and dirt on one of the monitors, and it was there in the future. That probably my favorite part of the episode is when he revealed that what they had to do to fix what was going on with Loki could possibly result in him losing his skin. Like that whole interaction was completely freaking hilarious. I was in
yeah,
tears. Like
getting
the interaction.
ripped to getting ripped to strings. He's like,
Yeah, I love.
I'd rather have that. You'd rather be taken apart atomically to the atomic level. He's like, what's a life like without skin?
Right.
There's
It's
got to
like
be a
what's
better
life
way.
without skin? I love just the interaction between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston. their chemistry is money, man.
Oh, it's really good.
It's like Riggs and Murtaugh.
Like they kind of lose it, and then like he just like yeah, and they're like both suck, and then like Loki's just like there's got to be a better way. Like there's like he realizes that there's no real good way to win this conversation, so the conversation's over. Let's figure out how this doesn't happen.
Yeah. um, let me see. What did you think about the recordings? The with He Who Remains and Renslayer, or was that Kang or He Who Remains? What variant do you think that was?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't really gave that much thought. I think it was probably Kang. I don't think it's the one who remains, even though the subtitles say it is. But I mean, we're dealing with any one of them now.
Yeah. Each one of those branches will have a different variant of Kang, and it also had kind of made me wonder: is all of those each future or past that Loki jumped to, was that all on the same branch? Could that have been other branches, and other Kangs, other Kang led TVAs? Because you'd
I
have
don't
to
think so.
imagine each version of Kang has probably got their own TVA.
Yeah, that's very likely. I don't think so. I think he kept returning to the same one. I think he's on a linear one, which is why I was like the past thing. Him saying like I went to the past is a very important thing now because it is much different than it was before in the first season because they could control everything because they were pruning it and maintaining it so like they could always go and know where they were going.
Yeah, and the TVA was just like a fixed point outside of time, so it was
Yet
no past, no future. It was, well, I can't say no future. It was, but it was fixed. It was they controlled where they were jumping in time.
and
Go
and
ahead.
with him hopping back, they're like not remembering and they're starting to remember in the past and like that's a lot different because the TVA doesn't forget a thing. But now they're like lost without a compass and they don't know what's going on anymore. And like with the interaction with OV, like he's talking to Mobius and like he's like, no, yes,
Yeah, he's remembering
I have one
as it
right here.
happens.
Yeah. So it's a much different thing that's happening now, and it's a little bit too complex to describe or
I mean, it's
understand
I
right
don't
now.
not really. Loki is Loki. Present day Loki is going back in the past, changing the past, changing the timeline for the TVA. I think it was they did a great job of showing it from the opening scene with the crack in the ground when he first seen it. Like, how long has that been there? That's been there as long as I can remember. So everything that he's doing when he's falling back in time is affecting their future and present and future.
But they're also not remembering him.
Yeah, but they're remembering. Well, Ouroboros is remembering him, but he doesn't really interact with anybody else. But the other people is proving that they're getting their minds wiped, which Loki is explaining to them by He Who Remains or Kang or
Yeah, that's true. That's probably what happened.
yeah. I think that's
But let's
definitely.
now something that's on my mind, and I want to bring it up while I'm thinking about it is Sylvie. We saw Sylvie.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely want to get to that. That was towards the end, but go ahead. Yeah, we can get into that.
Okay, well we can talk about it later
Yeah.
if you like.
No, go ahead.
Uh,
Why it's fresh on your mind? Go ahead.
Uh, all right. So I didn't get to do my rewatch before we started, but I wanted to. And what I can remember, she's like struggling to open elevator doors, right?
Right.
And I gotta say that was really haunting. Like, I mean, I wasn't scared or anything like it, but the whole imagery of it and the situation of it seemed haunting. I'm like, something's not right here.
Yeah. With the phone ringing in the background too. And
Hmm.
my biggest question for that, and of course I'm sure we'll get it in the next episode, was who pruned them? Where did this prune come from? Somebody ran up behind them, but who? And who was calling? That phone ringing, that was the eerie part. You hearing the phone, and then you see in the elevator getting pried open, and it's just there you are, prone as it all
Yeah,
happened, as it unfolded. I finally seen who I was looking for, and then but
I
who
I
was that behind him?
I think it's only one of two people.
Who do you
Is
think?
either I think it was either Loki himself or it was Renslayer.
Interesting. So, do
Who
you
would
think there's a
ever?
different Loki there?
I think it's the same Loki. He's just coming at a different point in time,
Ah,
and he recognized the moment and took him out. And like he's trying to catch up with Sylvie, and or Renslayer. Apparently, it's like insinuated she's working with He Who Remains, and maybe she was behind Loki, pruned him. He was in the way, and she's after Sylvie because Sylvie's the one that messed up everything. And who would be looking for Sylvie if not Renslayer and He Who Remains?
yeah. Okay, so while we on Sylvie, I thought it was a great payoff to see the McDonald's scene at the end. Um, I don't know if you caught that we finally got us after a post credit scene.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah, we had an end credit scene. Sylvie, that's where the McDonald's came from. So she goes back to this is after she sees Loki in the elevator. She goes back to 1982 Braxton, Oklahoma, or something like that. I'm sorry. But she sees a McDonald's. She goes in, and it's like I said, 1982. So first thing they're all looking at what she's wearing, like, and she looks at the menu and they're like, "What can I help you with?" And she's like, "All right, how do I do this?" And it's like, "What? Well, what do you want?" She's like, "Something that's already dead that doesn't have a face." She was like, and then she turned. Then he's going off in a minute. He's like, "We got these new chicken nuggets, which they did debut in 1982." And she turned around like, "I want to try everything." So I'm assuming the next episode, that's probably why she'll be working there because she realized she ain't got no money probably. But
That'd be funny. That would be cool.
But yeah, go back and watch the end credits. She's like something dead, something without a face, something that's already dead and cooked without a face that's not screaming, or because you got to think she's done it
Where are the
all.
places?
She's
Yeah,
killed her own food for her entire life.
the
She's like,
places she's been?
all right, how do I do this? He's like, what? It was a dope scene. Um, so and now everybody is on the lookout for. They're all coming.
Hmm.
What do you think is going on when Hunter B-52 saw the everybody going with their duffel bags and she was like, "Hey, all this for Sylvie?" What do you think's happening there? You think that other judge is sticking with the Rensselaer plan?
I don't know. I didn't have too long to think on that one. I was considering possibilities that, like, well, the only thing I could really think of is that they're just sending everybody out to all the branches and everything, and they're gonna be hunting for Sylvie, and or they are like, hey, screw it, we're gonna start pruning branches. I
Maybe.
mean,
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what do they do with those branches. Is it going to be a split in the TVA? It already looks like there's going to be two factions,
yeah.
the for and the against. Um, yeah, that's a good point. They probably will just like sneak and prune.
I mean, it's hard to kind of go against something you've been doing for so long, and then you have the rug literally like pulled out from under you, and you're like, no, I'm going to stick with how the way of things have been done.
Yeah, which from Loki's perspective, what he saw was kind of the right way. Even though it's taken out so many people, but he's trying to. He is the only one that knows about the coming Kangs.
That and so I don't know. I don't know, but it's a big operation, and what kind we need to think about what kinds of things that they have information on now, that they would require to have an operation this large to work against. Because you don't, I mean, what are they preparing for? Are they trying to hunt Sylvie down? Or are they preparing to fight Kang? Or
I
are
don't think they
they?
know it. No one knows about Kang. Just Loki and Sylvie now.
Well, I mean, the War Room Council, the judges, they know Kang now,
Well, yeah, since he revealed the face, but they
and
didn't
those are the
know.
only ones that could give like issue orders for like an operation like that. So it's more like we got to think about what the judges are thinking and why they would issue an order of so many TVA agents and hunters to go out and have duffel bags of armaments and of all kinds. So I'm wondering, are they just going to many, many timelines? And if anyone appears in that one, that's the timeline they're going to terminate and hope that they terminate the threat in that timeline?
I don't know. It's definitely a lot to think about. They're definitely on a mission to do something. They're looking for Sylvie. Everybody is after Sylvie. I'm sure Loki will be the first to get to her though. How about the new hunter we got? What was it, A5 or X5 or something like that?
X5.
Yeah, he was a bit of a douche. uh,
Uh, he was just a guy, I think, doing his job, but he comes off as a douche, definitely. Like, why open up with the whole, like, hey, jet skis? Is this like a calling? More like a gentle whisper.
yeah, somebody knew that we're gonna love to hate, man. Somebody that we can't wait to see him get his comeuppance when it happens.
Oh, definitely.
um, so what else? What else? What did you think about the whole Ouroboros when Loki was going back and first meeting him and came up with a plan, and all of a sudden, oh wait, I do have a time dilation, whatever the hell this is called. What did you think about how that whole thing just played out? Just real time pass. Oh, now it's created.
I loved it. They I love Data. I love seeing him again, and he was like the perfect kind of character to fulfill that role.
Yeah, I thought it was a really dope way of storytelling a speed run.
Yep.
Instead of a time jump. Well, it was literally a time jump.
Wait, Loki's in the past right now. You're talking to him right now in the past. I think so.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, could it possibly be that you're remembering as he's talking? That totally adds up.
Yeah,
Yes, that logic computes.
yeah, that logic makes sense. No flaws. Like he says that, and I'm like, oh god. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I,
no
I, I
flaws in
hope
that
he,
logic.
I hope he ends up being a main character. I need more of him.
Oh, definitely. He has to be now.
Yeah, because he's the only one that knows how to do anything around there. Apparently.
Apparently, he's like a huge underdog. He like apparently runs the like a whole part of the TVA, and nobody knows he exists practically.
So I feel like there's a few things that might pay off by season's end. One, him and Miss Minutes was the only ones to ever go there. Morbius was gonna call Miss Minutes at first. When Loki told him no, Miss Minutes was in on it. His next bet was to go see Obi.
Hmm.
Some point in time in this show, it's gonna come down to Obi versus Miss Minutes. That's gonna be a battle or a mental battle or something.
Ooh.
It's a reason that it's either him or her. Um,
That's actually pretty good, John. I didn't think about that.
yeah, yeah. And somebody is gonna get kicked in that loom, and we're gonna see somebody's skin get pulled back. They put a lot of effort into that. They gonna pay that off. Somebody is going. It'll be a Disney version of a skin pull, but they're gonna pay that off. They
All
don't
right.
just throw stuff out there and not show what
Let me throw
happens.
this out there. When do you think we're going to see Mobius on a jet ski?
At some point in time, whether it's his past life or maybe in the very, very end, like that's he goes back and lives his life and he's there at the jet ski. I definitely think we're gonna see him with one. Um, But that's a good question though. Like, is it just him visiting another branch? And that there you go. At some point in time, they go see another branch and they see another Morbius, and he's either riding one or selling one. As a
No,
matter of
ooh,
fact, there's a
what if
scene
he
in the
sold one?
trailer. I believe in the original trailer before the season started, Loki was at a Sea-Doo dealership. There's
Hmm.
something there. I think we're going to see a variant maybe of Morbius working at a
Yeah,
dealership.
Mobius. Yeah, I never actually thought of him as
Mobius. I
like
keep
maybe
saying
in.
Morbius. Mobius. It's so
Oh,
it's so blah, blah, blah.
oh, it's easy. Like it's just separated by a letter. It's easy to get it mixed up.
Yeah.
But I never considered him being a salesman. I mean, he happens to know a lot about it. Seems passionate about it. Like, wow,
Doesn't
I
he
didn't think.
convince you to want one? I mean,
Yeah,
he's got the script down packed. That's probably what he did. He was a salesman. He
he
sold
was
it.
probably a salesman. I like to think that he was just passionate about it and he liked being on jet skis all the time. Maybe he was like a retired dude and lived by the lake.
I mean, it could be both. He loved it and he worked for them.
But I like the salesman. I like your thoughts
He
on that.
knows a lot about it. Every time you bring up Sea-Doo, he sells you. It's just in him. It's like, no, it's the perfect form, perfect design of form and fit and function. That's actually the brand name. Many people get that misconstrued. Like it's
Yeah,
just
it's kind of like
automatic. Like,
yeah, it's like Kleenex. It's tissues, but it's called Kleenex.
yeah. Again, a dope character, man. So, man, yeah. This episode one. It looks like it's gonna be a fantastic series, and it's gonna end leading up into the Marvels. I don't think that they're gonna blend. I think this one is gonna probably lean more towards Deadpool. But still cool that we're gonna get a Marvel movie right at the end of this season. So dope.
Hmm.
I like the way it's going down. But Stu Dog, did I miss anything about this episode that you can
Let me
recall?
see. Let me go deep into the memory banks.
Doodaloo, doodaloo, doodaloo.
There it is. Ooh, that tickled. Um, uh, I'm not supposed to go there. I don't know, man. I can't really think of anything other than hmm, no. I'm more curious what's going to happen with B-15 now. Like, we all have diverging paths now, and like,
Yeah.
where's B-15? What is she going to do? How's she going to help?
Yeah, the chase is on. Everybody going their own way, looking for Sylvie or something. But
I think she's going to investigate the TVA. She's going to figure out what is the operation things going on here, and she's going to be in contact with our protagonists and
yeah,
everything, and they're going to have to work together and have a fucking mess of a plan.
yeah. And I'm looking to see who was it that pruned Loki. I like your idea that it's maybe him pruning himself, but I want to see that payoff. Who was it? Because it looked like whoever it was in full garb, like they were masked up and armored up, so it looked like they might have been an agent, maybe. But it had to have been somebody that we know. So I can't wait to see that reveal. Who knew about this whole situation? What if we don't find out to the finale and it was like, it's all got to play back and like, what if it was He Who Remains?
I mean, the possibilities are endless. We're playing with time, man.
That's what makes
Like,
this so
like,
good.
like as you were talking just now, I thought of like, dude, it could have been Deadpool for all we know,
Yeah,
and
no
like,
doubt.
and like,
That would be cool.
and that would not be too much of a big surprise to me. It would be like Deadpool.
That would
Ah!
be sweet.
But like I've also thought like immediately I thought it could be Loki doing it to himself. Seems like a Loki thing to do. It could be Renslayer because she's hunting down Sylvie and she's working with He Who Remains. It could be He Who Remains. It could be Sylvie doing it to Loki and she's trying to take out another version of her. And now there's a variant of her that works with He Who Remains and she's working against him.
Maybe my guess is somebody that knew that he was getting ready to get lost in time, and they came back to stop that moment. And in the finale, we're gonna find out that who it was in that moment. They gonna be fighting in that time loom room, and somebody gonna get their skin pulled back.
The skin pulling. Dude, you got me with that one. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're totally right. They talked about the spaghetti and the skin peeling, and I'm like, oh man, we're gonna actually see this.
Yeah, something's going down. It's going down. And ladies and gentlemen, it's going down here on this show on Street Geeks. But this has been fun, man.
No,
And it's only gonna go up from here. So don't be surprised if we get some more ideas or some more intel that we go ahead and turn the camera back on. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate y'all for stopping by. Please, 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 on your way out, drop us a like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that bell so you don't miss out on nothing new. But yeah, Stu Dog, as always, appreciate you being here, my brother. And from us here, ladies and gentlemen at the Street Geeks, we love you and we out. Peace out. Keep it nerdy.
good luck, gentlemen.